Yeah, what we doing?
All right. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. I'm your host, Charles Dixon, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Adam Ford. How are you, sir?
What's up, fam? On a Friday evening, what's going on? Not too bad. Pretty good. Thankfully, we are. Well, maybe not. Maybe we're not as warm as I would like for us to be, but we're not as cold as we were last week. You know how this Midwest weather is. You know,
Yes.
you don't really get 4 seasons. You only get 2, and that's summer and winter for the most part. Man, it's been cold like a mother, but thankfully we'll be above freezing for some of the weekend, and then we'll be back below for a little bit tomorrow morning or whatever like that. But otherwise, God is good.
That's good,
And we
man.
thank Him for our food.
Hey,
How about you? How was your week?
If you see me swatting back and forth, it's a little gnat that's getting on my nerves, so I might just hit it. So just don't think
Okay.
don't think I'm like, look, don't think I'm over here like this. But
well, we already think that. What you talking about, bro? We already know.
Oh gosh,
man.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the week has been good. It's been balancing, juggling work and focusing and all that. But the weather is beautiful, so I can't complain.
Oh Lord, I don't even want to hear about that. I'm about to get mad. I'm about to have some hate. Where my haterade at?
Right.
I'm about to take me a swig of some haterade. This dude got
speaking of which, and I don't want to be not Debbie Downer, but Dennis the Downer. But you're in Chicago, man. Listen, I saw this video yesterday. And it just brought out the father in me. It was just like I saw this video. I don't know if it was yesterday or yesterday morning, whatever it was, or the day before. I saw this video where it looked like all I saw was these young boys. Matter of fact, what caught my attention is they were driving a vehicle like I have, right? They pulled up, they got out the vehicle, turned, and I just like, what's going on with this video? And somebody was just recording in the truck. They ran out in the middle of broad daylight in Chicago, over there on 79th Street on the south side. It was laid. They put off like 50 bullets in this minivan.
What?
But in the minivan was a girl, like she's like some popular hairstylist on the south side, young girl. She had her kid in the back seat, some baby, but the baby didn't get hit, surprisingly. I don't know how the baby didn't get hit. The way I saw them pumping into that car,
right.
The other dude that was in there with her, he got shot too, but he's fine, expected to be okay. But when I saw them, it was like about 3 or 4 of them just dumping off into this car. Then here's the crazy thing about it. They run back to their car, turn to get ready to leave, and when they were leaving, they turned at the corner where the car was and shot some more and left. I said, bracing. I mean, we don't care at all. And I was just like, man,
that's
I
crazy.
think about that because, and like I said, I'm not taking a grim direction. I'm going to come back. But I think about my own son, right? And I think about stuff he was at the hands of, and I'm going to keep it a buck, and stuff he was involved in, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about that, it's just, it irritates me how our youth are just deciding to take this heartless path as opposed to thinking through their decisions. And it's just like I see it over and over again, and I'm just like, I keep saying this is going to take a big concerted effort in order to try to impart back.
Yeah.
It's not going to be no one. It has to be a huge effort of influence. And I know a lot of times, a lot of men, they pass through the YN phase and they just like, oh, well, they ain't my business. Good luck to them. Pray for them and go on about their business. But it's just like, I refuse to believe that a lot of them have arrived where they are on purpose. Yeah. A lot of them are there because they didn't have us. Truth be told,
okay.
Right? A lot of them got where they are.
You say us, but I need you to.
The fathers
yeah,
weren't
there. There you go.
And so it's like the father's there for the mom to get the food being served, and then when the plate is done, the dad is gone, and the kid is sitting there witnessing it, right? And so when the kid is witnessing, after a while, him being the father, he had to be the big one of the house. You got to take care of your little brothers and sisters, and all those kind of things. And after a while, he just says, "Look, this struggle is not struggling. It's not math. The math of this struggle isn't mathing right. So I'm going to do me. I'm going to go do and get what I need to get and live how I want to live." And so, it's a sad thing, but it's too coincidental that this is happening in every city. So this isn't just in happenstance in one part of town. You can't just blame it on Memphis or Chicago or Houston, all these places, that Atlanta, that they say that all this stuff is happening. This is happening in every inner city and then some. So it is a reason that this the way they're crying out. I call it crying out. They crying out for a reason, but they don't. But they are relentless. Right. So I'm just like, man. But all right.
I mean, so the thing of it is that they're crying out is resulting in collateral damage, right? All this crying out that they're doing is affecting other people's lives. And you're absolutely right, Charles, when you say that the fathers have abandoned their responsibilities in terms of raising their children in the right way. You're absolutely correct, because for so long, we have walked away from what we're supposed to do as fathers. Now, here's my issue. Here's my real issue. So before the child even was born or even got here, a decision was made to do something out of context. And as a result of you doing it out of context, now we have consequence. We got consequence now because we did what we did out of context.
Wow.
And I don't want to get too explicit with this, but the reality is that when you have I done started that sentence. When you have sex outside of marriage,
right,
and it's out of it's your context, you're now out of context, and now you have a consequence that's visited as a result of a decision that you made because you wanted to have that one night stand, you wanted to feel good, and so now she had a baby, but you didn't hang around to raise the child. See, it didn't start with the kid. It started with you and your decision, sir.
Right.
In terms of, and I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to men in general. Okay. I'm just saying.
I take it. No, go ahead. I'm just
playing. I'm just saying. It started with
you ain't never lied, man. For real.
And we can't sit here and act like that's not the reason why, because it is. It absolutely is. And then you decided to do what you were going to do. You did what you did, but then you didn't hang around long enough to handle the issue. You walked away. And now he or she was raised in a single family home with a very skewed perspective of what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a man in the world. Because you abdicated your responsibility. I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm just making plain what the reality is. Because in order for us to address this issue in its totality, we have to recognize that we played a part.
Yeah.
That we played a part in this.
Yeah.
And we have to own up to that.
And we don't, I mean, listen, we don't, all of it doesn't compute in the act of it, right? And like I would say, for me, the thing I have learned in life, if I'm reaching all the way back then to now, is that irresponsibility carries one of the highest price tags in the world. When you irresponsible in any facet, you put caution to the wind. You don't care. It's like, I'm doing me. You know how we say now, we doing me and all that. And when we let it fly and just let things go, and you, for whatever moment that you are in your head, where what's between the legs mean more than what's going to come out of them, you got a problem. So you think about it, and in the moment you don't think, because we looking for the thrill. It feels good. Or I'm feeling her, whatever that is. And then you get up and you go. I think I often make jokes, and it's not funny, but I make jokes about the movie Menace to Society, right?
Okay.
There's a part in there where the guy who's the main actor, he had a little moment where he came up on some money. He was jacking folks and all this, and he had this nice little whip that he stole some rims on, 5.0, all this stuff. So to make a long story short, he met this little hottie little girl that he met on the street, and he met her, saw her, at her, smashed. Then the girl came back and said, just want you to know that I just got to tell you, I'm pregnant. And he gonna say right then and there, it was funny in the moment. Lord. He gonna say, man, that ain't mine. I have my Jimmy on tight. But no, what the boy, it ain't funny.
Come on, man.
But in the moment of it, it was like, because you know what, when he said that line, I can remember back to being a young teenager and how classic that line was. So many men back in the day where I grew up, in Southeast, those dudes girls would come back. We'll be on the block hanging out, and they'll be bold. You know, Tammy over there pregnant. What's wrong with you, man? It ain't mine. She probably messing with dude too. First thing they would say is, it ain't mine. Is that whole irresponsible is building up right there.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, and I don't know if women look at it this way, but what it told me back then is she was fine enough to deal with, fine enough to pursue, fine enough to lose you in, right? But the way you saw her was, you easy for me, so you probably are easy. And so when it came up to the responsibility and owning up, as opposed to you saying, you're right, I did that, I have to own up to it, it becomes, skepticism comes in all of a sudden. Now all of a sudden, where I don't know if that's who told you was mine, all of that comes up when when it's shitting, what I mean? And so it's a very toxic cycle amongst men, and if we honest, it really is. And it's like, it all comes down to this: the fun is the fun, but it gets real when it comes to the responsible side, the responsibility side. And so if you are man enough to be fun, be man enough to be liable. That's the only way to kind of look at it like that. So,
No, that's real talk, and okay, all right. I'm gonna,
that one is deep.
I want to let it go. It is deep. It is deep because it's the thing. And here's the thing, though, Charles. Because of the fact that we did what we did, and we didn't take responsibility for what we did, we are literally perpetuating the cycle over and over again. Yeah, because my daddy did it, and his daddy did it, and his daddy did it.
Wow.
We got the same cycle, bro. And the reality is, when are we going to wake up and recognize the reality that this cycle has to be broken? If we want to see our families whole, if we want to see healing in the household, if we want to see our boys take responsibility as men, the cycle has to be broken. But until it's broken, the cycle is going to continue to perpetuate. Because what other example do they have? What other pattern do they? Again, I'm not trying to come hard, but I am. What other model do they have but the model that's before them? It's not until you break that cycle of repetition, of making the same mistakes over and over again, that we are actually able to get out of from where we are. And we can raise sons that are responsible sons.
Wow. You know what's so crazy? So, and I'm not going to dig into this. I know it's sensitive on both sides to a degree. You have your angle, I have my angle. So here's my angle.
Yeah.
I had my dad and mom,
All
but
right.
my grandfather was kind of, when I think about it, and I'm thinking of similarities in different things. So
Mhm.
obviously I have similarities of my dad and some demeanors and behaviors, but I think about my grandfather. Grandfather was, very handsome man,
Yeah.
and he was lived up in Harlem, and he
Wow.
had all of these. I remember when he would come to DC to visit us, it was almost like every time he had a different car. He came down there and just
Wow.
hung out by himself, but he knew
Okay.
somebody in the
Okay.
city. But
Okay.
then my grandma was to me was fine. My grandmother, my father's mother, was a pretty woman, right? But
Yeah.
he had the kid by her, had my dad, and then look, come to find out, my grandfather had, like, I want to say my father, he said it was 14 of them.
Ooh, Lord.
Grandfather, he was fast cars, living in the urban city. And but here's the thing. But then when he got older, he settled down with this lady. I remember Jane, and Jane was, Jane. To be honest, Jane wasn't. I'm like, this is the best you can get out of Harlem. But anyway, no, Jane was all right. Jane was all right. But I was just like, so when he settled down, I'm like, you showed us all these fine ladies throughout the year. And he settled down with Jane.
You said Jane.
Yeah, he settled down with Jane. Jane make a good sandwich, I guess. But anyway, so
Oh,
he was with
God.
Jane. He with Jane was, whatever. So make a long
Man.
story short, so he lived out his days with Jane. It was, they had their
Mm.
little condo up there in New York, and that was that. But if
Wow.
I thought about it, when I look at him and I look at my dad, who was the polar opposite. Like my dad, he met my mom in college in DC. They connected, and the only moment my dad had was when they connected. My mom was a country girl, so her dad sent her to DC for school, nothing else, right?
Okay.
So she hooked up with my dad, and my dad, being charming as he was, him and my mom connected. Then she got pregnant. Here comes my mom. So I'm pregnant. What are we going to do? So here's the funny part. I told this once before. My mom's family came up from like 4 hours from south of DC to come up. And her father came up there, and he asked my father, well, what you going to do? Because she's in, like, back in the day, they called it family way. She's in family way. And my dad going to say, well, I'm paraphrasing, but knowing my dad, he's, well, I'm thinking about this, and I'm really putting some feeling into it. And the grandfather wasn't hearing it. He's like, you ain't marrying my daughter. Let's go. My mother back to Virginia. Here's the thing. 2 months later, my dad had a choice to make. Do I follow my father, or do I shift and be what I didn't have?
Yes.
So my father said, you know what? And he told me that until he passed. He said, I said to myself, he said, I knew I had loved your mother. And he said, but I didn't. He said, that was my responsibility. And he said, I didn't want no one else raising my kid. So what he said was, I got in my car. I drove 4 hours to go, and I knocked on that door, and he said, I heard all the sisters saying, Cora, Charles is here. And they were all wondering why he was there. But when he came there, he told her father, I'm coming here to get her, but I'm gonna get her the right way. I'm gonna get her married down here this weekend.
Yeah.
And brought her back, and I was like, wow. So you're right. We have the choices to say, what's in us sometimes be in us, right? But we have the choice to say, do I carry on this way? Or do I make the shift?
Do I do something different?
Step to another place and be more accountable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're absolutely right, sir.
Direction. All right.
I know. And I'm gonna say this last thing, and I'm gonna shut up about it. But that is so true, right?
Yeah.
Because and it's something that I became aware of even within my own self in terms of what my progenitors or my mother and father did. The same behaviors that they did are the same behaviors that I found that were in me.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And you have to be able to have an awareness of that and recognize that what's in my parents is in me. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So not only what's in my parents, but what was in their bloodline. And then what was in grandpa's bloodline, and what was in Uncle Bunky's bloodline. Whatever's in that bloodline is in you. And you have to be aware of that, so that when you face similar situations where they didn't make the best decisions, your awareness goes, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I need to move differently.
Yeah.
Because the way my mom or my dad moved previously, they ended up here. Let me shift in my decision-making process and move in a different way. That's how you break. That's at least how you begin to break that cycle and understand that if we're going to change this whole narrative of our families, we have to become aware of what's on the inside of us and then decide to do something differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
no,
again,
that's real talk.
I don't want to get too deep into this, but that's the reality, right? Because a lot of us have a lot of stuff in us, and we don't even know that it's there. But it's not until we get into a certain situation that thing that's on the inside of us gets triggered, and we're like, "What in the world just happened?" Well, that was your Auntie B. She used to do the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
Well, here's what we need to do, y'all. We really need to have an honest family conversation about the things that have happened in our past, in our family's past, and educate our children to these things so that they can be aware, so that they don't make the same mistakes that we made, or make the same mistakes that Granddaddy made, or make the same mistakes that Aunt B made, so that they can do things differently and move differently and come out with a different outcome. What's the point of doing the same thing over and over again and you're just doing what you're doing because you don't know how to change it?
Man, and look, and just when I tried to give my mother's side a pass.
Oh, you know what? See?
we had a family reunion back. I want to say probably 2015, 14, somewhere up in there. I'm seeing all my cousins, and we talking to one of my cousins. He's like the historian of our family. He's real, charismatic. So he said, Charles, I heard he's talking about my mother's father. My mother's father's now,
Okay.
Again, he was kind of half one side and half the other color. But anyway, make a long story short, he married my grandmother on my mother's side. They had in marriage though, like 14 kids.
Oh,
my
wow.
mother had a lot of brothers. It's a big family on my mother's side. So, but they were in marriage. But we learned that weekend we learned so much in that one weekend. So there was one rumor at the family reunion that we had another uncle and cousin. And we were like, what do you mean? Everybody's right here. This is the family.
No, it's
Listen, the guy said, Charles, we gonna take a break on Saturday and we're gonna go into town. They called downtown into town. So I was like, okay. So me, him, and my other cousin, we went to this lady's house. And we knocked at the door, and he was just like, well, I said, where are we going? We're going to go in and see Miss Joyce. And I'm like, okay. So this lady answers the door, and we were like, hey, we said, we are part of the Haynes family. The Haynes, that's my mother's side, the Haynes family. And so we were coming because we understood you knew my grandfather. And she said, y'all can come on in. I knew at that point, oh, it's hot now. She let us come in the house. So she said, yes, I had a kid by your grandfather, but she said, but they silenced me in the city. She said he did not want me to say a word because he was married, had all of these, he had his family, which had all his children and everything.
Yeah.
And so he had a moment of his little side wife into the city, right? But she said he took it so hard because he knew all your uncles and everybody existed, but he didn't have the access to connect. So she said, and here's the ironic part about it. He took off and moved to Harlem. Now, no relation to my grandfather on my father's side, but he left that part of Virginia and moved to New York. So ladies, you know me. So when I was getting all the notes from the lady and listening to her talk, soon as I got back to my phone, I got on that Facebook and I found the cousin. I connected with him. So there's one cousin that's like my age, and then there's an uncle. The uncle didn't talk. He didn't want to connect. But I knew that the younger one probably would. So the father had a lot of bitterness, understandably so. He felt like he lost a lot of his time in life, having to be shunned, so to speak, because of a secret. But then you had the other son who had questions and answers. So to this day, we don't talk all the time, but we randomly catch up. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean when I say there's a lot of deep things in our families that speak a lot of things that people don't talk about that need to be talked about.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And this is the reason why those family secrets keep us silent, right?
For sure.
We need to begin to talk about these things so that we understand. And I think, we need to get to the topic, but we
Okay,
need
let's
to,
go. All right.
listen, let me just say this one thing. We need to talk about these family secrets because
Yeah.
I really do believe it will have an impact on
Mm.
our mental health. A
Mm.
lot of us are dealing with some emotional upheaval, even some physical, some medical things that run in our family. But because nobody's talking about it, we're sitting here suffering in silence because of these secrets.
Mm.
Nobody wants to talk about these things. It's a family secret. Oh, we can't talk about.
Don't you tell nobody.
We can't talk about Lil John and
What
Uncle
happened?
B, all of them.
Yes.
No, because we want to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
The time for that type of protection is done.
Yeah, for sure.
It's done. We need to really have real conversations about some of these family secrets so that we can start nipping this stuff in the bud for the next generation. Come on, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna let that go. Let's
move along.
We're
gonna start the unmanned home movement. The unmanned. We gotta stop the unmanned homes.
Yeah,
anyway,
man.
There's a lot of homes that got the women in it, but
it's
not
a
the
real
men.
thing, man.
Yeah,
It's a real thing, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a real thing.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Let's get into this today.
Yes,
and while I'm doing this, Adam, do you have a thing pulled up while I go into this?
Oh, now you want me to read
know,
after all of that. You want me to read.
You done preached enough. But anyway,
I mean, hold up. I do have it if you want me to read.
Okay, I'm just gonna announce the topic. Today we're talking about the pocket, the sweet spot that keeps love's rhythm. The pocket. All right, go ahead.
The pocket. In the space of love and relationships, keeping a good pocket groove is crucial because it makes the rhythm of love feel solid, in sync, and emotionally compelling instead of sloppy, reckless, or chaotic. Keeping a nice groove makes the music of love feel good physically, emotionally, and spiritually. A deep pocket groove is what metaphorically makes people nod their heads, tap their feet, or want to dance with their partners. That said, the single most valuable part of any band or musical accompaniment are the persons responsible for keeping the rhythm or timing. When we don't keep good time in love, many of us fail to succeed in both relationships and the marriage thing simply because we remain offbeat as opposed to correcting our rhythmic patterns. Let's unpack the keys to keeping things together with your person.
Good stuff. So let's look at it like this, and we're gonna jump right on into it. Think about this. Okay, I'm gonna take Bruce for an example. Think about some of the shows that we may have had, and I always say Bruce always supports to keep it a buck, right? But there have been some shows that you and me can be talking and we thinking we talking and we doing what we doing. But there are some shows where Bruce will say, "Hey, stay right there," right?
Okay. Yeah.
What he's saying is there is a pocket forming, message, a pocket message.
Okay.
Stay in that because that's where the magic is.
Okay.
And I'm think about where we come from. We come from DC, right? So in DC, the whole mecca of our soundtrack is go-go. Go-go music is entirely made up of around the pocket.
Yeah.
So basically, if you remove the pocket foundation from the whole process of it, even though the congos is very significant, but a band without the percussion drummer is a totally different sound, right? So I'm saying that to say, in relationships, the best music of love is made when the partners are dancing in sync. Right? When there's a nice syncopation happening, a nice when there's a synergy, everything feels great. It feels comfortable. It's not saying that it's perfect, but it feels aligned, like you are where you're supposed to be. But here's the kicker before we get to that. This is where I think a lot of us go wrong. Before you can get into any groove, you have to make sure that the syncing has already been established. Like we're not going to be able to groove if we don't sync, right?
Yeah,
and so I think a lot of us, we ignore the fact that on the dance floor, as opposed to us just making it seem like we know how to hand dance and all the other things that we can do just like that, we are ignoring the fact that the person is stepping on your toes, bumping into you, almost about to fall, saying this, calling you out your name, disrespect, all these things that show you that we're not in sync. We're not desiring the same thing. We're not respecting the same things about one another. We don't value some of the same core things. We don't even have I know everybody has their own different paths of things they desire to do for themselves in life.
Right.
But I believe whatever those things are, when something is in a pocket, they should relate in a supportive fashion.
Yeah.
Your partner should be able to do something to assist your work. Whatever that work is, your partner should be able to play a part in it. It shouldn't be you way over there being famous in Germany and doing what you do, and your partner just at home being the star of her book club.
Right.
And she never, or he or she is never together. It should be a synergy to be like, listen, let me tell you something. I'm the one who wrote I got his whole song book organized, or whatever that could be. It could be a small thing or a huge thing, but it's showing that I'm here for a reason. I'm not just here. I'm here because I sync up with this person and we mesh well. And I think we have gotten away from that. We've gotten so into the exterior and the qualifications in the bag that we ignore. We have made the sync the bag. Are you living your best life too? Are you a boss? Are you nice looking? Do you eat you eat vegan? Are you at the gym? Those things are external caring mechanisms for personal reasons. They're not syncing things, right? And so we ignore the fact that we think those things are what make us sync. But what makes you sync is simply synergy. If you don't feel the synergy, you can, that's not to say you got to immediately abandon, but probe to see why is it not coming to the forefront. Ask the question and be like, oh, do you like that? Or what do you think about that? What about instances with this? How have you responded? You don't have to put them in like an interview position.
Right.
But you can have conversation to gauge whether or not the sync is there.
Yeah.
And if you don't hear it, or if it is foreign, this is when we have to be strong enough to make the decision past what we desire. A lot of times we desire to be with them in their company. They look nice. They fine. They live well. You ignoring the cues of discombobulation and disassociation just because you want to be there. And so when we ignore these things, we are already putting ourselves at a disservice if we're looking to get into a groove. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. That's good. I like that. I like the way you put that right there. I like the way you put that there. Yeah. That was good. So I'm going to approach it. I'm going to approach this from a more. Let me just approach it the way I want it. I'm going to approach it. I don't want to do Sunday school all the way, but I want to do a little bit of Sunday school. I want to do a little. Let me do a little bit of Sunday school with this.
All right.
So the first thing that came to my mind in terms of talking about this particular subject matter was the fact that that sweet spot is something that we all should be actively engaging in for those of us that are in relationships, that we ought to be, if we haven't got there yet, that we ought to be pursuing that. For me, being married and being in a relationship with my wife, one of the things that I realized that has been beneficial to us is the fact that we are in agreement with one another. Okay. Watch this. I want to go to Amos 3:3 real quick. Y'all already know the scripture. You know where I'm coming from. I know Bruce does. I know Bruce knows where I'm coming from. Amos 3:3 says this. And, I want to read this from the New Living Translation. This is really interesting the way they put it, because it kind of like spells it all out. Okay. Yeah. It says basically, can two people walk together without agreeing on the direction? which means we need to be in agreement as to what we need to be in agreement with one another in order to be able to determine the direction that we're going to be walking in. What does that mean for the sweet spot? What it means is that if we can't come together and agree on the direction that we're headed in, we're never going to arrive to the sweet spot. The sweet spot is something that we can never obtain. Why? Because we're not in agreement. We're not in agreement because we don't even want to go in the same direction.
Wow.
That the other person, I want to do what I want to do. I want to go over here and do my thing. I want to go over to Chuck E. Cheese, and they want to go for Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
What else? Those are in two different directions, two different locations. Okay.
Yeah.
So in order for us to obtain and actively have that sweet spot, that rhythm for the both of us, we need to be in agreement. We need to be in agreement with a direction that we're walking in. Okay. And yeah, we can't do this at odds with each other. And that's not to say that we won't have arguments. That's not to say that we won't be on the same page all the time, but we need to be working toward getting on the same page. Okay, you on one page and I'm on another page. At some point in time, we got to have the same page. We got to be working toward that thing. We got to be actually advancing toward that thing and making that thing the thing that we're both working toward. And it's interesting about the whole direction, right? Because when you think about it, how can two walk together unless they agree on the same direction? That means if we don't agree that we're going to the same space or the same place, then it means we're most likely going to start walking away from each other instead of walking with one another. Because you ever hear about the fact that you'll ask somebody, well, why you not with such and such anymore? Well, we just grew apart. We grew apart. But because you weren't actively engaging in the agreement to go in the same direction. You had an agreement with yourself to go in a particular direction, but you didn't have an agreement with the person that you were with to go in the same direction. Wow. And that's what I kind of want to put on the table in terms of us really having this discussion, because the sweet spot is something that you actually have to work toward. It doesn't happen by osmosis. It doesn't happen automatically. It happens because you intentionally say, okay, we're going to be on the same page and we're going to walk in the same direction with one another.
That's good. So, man, listen, and sometimes it takes you just fighting in the moment for the moment. Okay. I'll say something funny that I remember a time years ago where I actually saved my job.
Okay.
It was supposed to be lost, right? But I took a moment that I challenged when my boss at that time and the HR person cornered me in this room. The reason why I challenged it, because I knew I was within my right. I knew that what I had been doing on the job, I hadn't had. You didn't write me up. You didn't give me no warnings. I was doing my work. So you didn't have any reasonings, right?
Right. Okay.
And so I just remember it was kind of funny. So it wasn't funny at the thought about to lose your job, right? But
no, that ain't funny.
I tried to make a joke of it, but then it turned serious. And so I remember them sitting in there because it was just like, okay, I was having this one-on-one with my boss, and then pops in, here comes the HR person. I'm like, oh, what is going on? Right. So this is what the lady, so when the HR lady comes in, she immediately takes over the conversation. My boss got quiet, and the HR said, well, Charles, we're calling. I know you're wondering why we got you here, but we brought you here because we want you to know that we have decided to go in a different direction with this role. So I got quiet for a second. Then I shifted and I said, that's interesting. I said, because if there's a different position, different direction, I would love to be a part of that.
Yes.
And they got quiet. They were like, because they were expecting me to be like, y'all gonna let me go? What's going on, and act a fool, right? So I said, if you're going in a different direction, I would love to benefit from it. And they were looking befiddled, like, what is going on here? So,
Right.
so they were like, well, Charles, what we were thinking. I said, no, I said, let me unpack it real quick. I said, my boss is quiet. I said, but I said, everything she's asked me, I've delivered.
Right.
She's never called me out not to do something, to not do this, or wrote me up for anything, or put me on a performance, anything. So I said, so for me, telling me going in a different direction is not enough, especially if you think I'm going to sign something. Right. I said, it's just not enough. I said, so if she can talk, that can help me. And so then, so she turned to the lady, and the lady just simply said, well, you know what it all came down to?
What's that?
She almost lost her job, because on the call, she said, well, she kept saying, well, like 10 times. She said, well, there's a promotion, and I knew that you and the other person were equally qualified. So I thought that putting this person before you would cause you to leave. So I said, well, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't.
I said, I'm not a belligerent worker. So I said, if somebody is getting whatever, I said, so that doesn't sound like a good. I at this point I was just like, whatever. I said, that doesn't sound like a good reason to me.
Right.
And so then the HR lady said, well, I thought it was something a little different by his performance. Well, no, I never said his performance. So then the lady said, so why are we doing this? That's what the HR lady said.
Why are we doing this?
So if it's not his performance, and if it's your preference, preference and performance is different. So if it's your preference to put someone else up, that's not a reason to let somebody go.
Exactly.
And so that lady said to me, on the HR lady, Charles, I'm sorry. She said, Sheila and I will hash this out, and we'll circle back with you. That lady came back and said, don't worry about it. We're apologizing.
Wow.
You keep your job.
Wow.
See, I could have chose to go, like when the synergy was saying we're not in the groove. I could have chose to quit.
Right.
And let it go. But I was like, no, people probably don't do that often, but I was like, no. And I needed my job at the time. But anyway,
I bet you did.
Yeah, but I'm like, but no, people will try you, and you gotta stand up for you when it gets a little crazy. And at least in these relationships, you'll be presented with all sorts of things that will give you choices. So if you care or love them enough, you will say, hey, it don't seem like right now we're in a good space. But I do know you have rhythm. I've seen you dance well.
Right.
So is it a reason why we can't stand in the middle of the floor and dance together well?
Yes.
You got rhythm, I got rhythm. Why can't we dance? It's not like you got two left feet and we not working. We align, but for some reason, when the music comes on, you're not moving.
Yeah.
So if we're moving to the same love beat, why aren't you moving? Or why, so and sometimes you got to bring it out of people if you love them, or if you care to keep the groove going, right? If you care, then you got to speak on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That was a really good situation to bring up in terms of you actually standing up for yourself and challenging the supposed decision, right? Because I think a lot of times because we're in relationships, we have a tendency to operate on a lot of assumption. And we take some things for granted instead of actually speaking up, not only for ourselves, but for the direction of the relationship. So you decide you want to start going to school at night, and you want to get your degree, and because you want to further your career. Well, instead of you having a conversation about it with your significant other, you decide you want to go ahead and just do it on your own. Well, no, that changes the direction of where we're going.
Yeah.
That alters, that modifies our destination, right? Because now our direction has shifted. And it's important that if I'm going to be in a relationship with you and I'm seeing some things differently than I did before, that I actually open up my mouth and communicate with you to say, okay, you know what? I know we were headed this way, with this particular objective, but now I need to do some things differently because I want to do some things differently. And so I want to communicate that with you so that we can change some of the direction that we're headed in. And because we don't want to talk about it, that's the reason why we end up with a lot of broken relationships and things that are unrealized, because we don't want to communicate that. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to say, hey, maybe we should move. The house that we're in is small. Maybe we should move to accommodate everybody that's in the house. But instead of doing that, we move out.
That's it.
Come on.
Yeah.
What's the point of doing that? If you want to get the sweet spot and maintain the sweet spot, you're going to have to actually open up your mouth and talk about it. You're going to have to open up your mouth and actually be intentional in your communication and actually say, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. What is it going to take for us to both get on the same page so that we can both walk in the same direction, so that we can both arrive to the same destination at the same time?
That's it, man.
That's what we doing. What we doing?
Yeah. So I'm saying all of this to say, when I was thinking about the idea for this show, I was just thinking about, like, I was listening to go-go, but anyway, I was listening to music while I was working, and I was looking at how important, like, all the sounds of the band I love, but it was always the drum that kept them all on timing. So I thought about, from the relationship, I said, at all times, because think about it, fatigue will set in if you human. Y'all are human. So for him or her, fatigue at some point will set in. But somebody always have to keep the timing.
Yes.
Because think about it. How many times have we seen concerts or even been in church somewhere, Adam, where somebody was singing in the choir and the power goes out?
Oh, yeah.
So even when the power goes out, you have to you got to keep your time in. Even you clap your hands, stomp your feet. But the point is, this power will be lost in a relationship, right? It will happen. The power going to be out, and all the things that worked normally will be dead. So when the power comes out, somebody has to kick in and say, oh, wait, the power out, but let's clap our hands. Let's talk. We can still stomp our feet to make some music. So the point is, you have to be able to improvise and say, we can do this, right? We can do this. We can make this work. We can arrive and do all of these things to keep us alive. And I'm saying all that to say, relationships always have to have a pause. Once the pause flatlines, it's dead, right? So the fight and being together is when you're checking on each other or having your disagreements. After that disagreement is over, reach out and just do, like,
check your pulse.
Check the pause. Check the pause. And be like, are you good? And that was a tough argument. I didn't like what you said. It made me feel a certain way, but I'm not dead. Right. Talk about it and be like, we could have went left or right with it, but are we maintaining our pause? Because it doesn't feel good to be in a relationship where you feel like you can't see where you're going. You don't feel the heartbeat of anything. And then there is no dancing. There is no drum.
There's no rhythm.
It's just it feels like you are, look, I've been there. It feels like you are moving around in free space and ain't standing on nothing.
Right.
It's just like you lost. You connected but lost. And really, to be honest, when you are lost, that connection is severing. That's why you lost, right? Because it's not hot. It's not coming together, and it's not hot. So
So let me do this real quick. I want to stay there, but I want to shift it around a little bit. And this is something that we discussed before the show, right? So I think there are certain key things that will not only help us to obtain the sweet spot in terms of our rhythm, in terms of our walking together, but there are also some things that we need to be aware of when it comes to that sweet spot. And here's the thing. I think often, because of the fact that we, again, are operating under assumptions, that we don't really take the time out to understand each other. Understanding is critical to you having the same beat and walking at the same space and pace and timing, that we are synchronized, we're synergistic in the way that we move together. here are 3 things that I think we lack understanding in when it comes to our relationships in terms of navigating each other. 3 things. Do we understand each other's strengths? Do I know what you're strong at? Do I know where you excel? Do I know where you have a talent and a gift for? Okay. Do I know that your strength is actually something that I'm actually weak in, which is another thing. Do we understand each other's weaknesses? Do I know where you are not as good, where you're not as gifted, you're not as talented? And if I have strengths in those particular weak areas that you have, that means I can come in and compliment you in that way to help you become stronger in that thing. So 2 things, strengths and weaknesses. Do you understand your companion's strengths and their weaknesses? Again, this helps you not only to obtain the sweet spot, but it helps you to maintain the sweet spot. Here's the last thing that I don't think we really give a lot of credit to. Do we understand our differences? Because I think sometimes we share a lot of things in common. We share a lot of things that are similar to one another, right? We share a lot of those things, but often we don't necessarily give enough attention to our differences in terms of how I'm different from you, how I'm unique from you, how I'm not the same as you. I have a different perspective than you do. I have a different outlook on this thing than you do. And it's in being able to appreciate each other's differences that we're able to, again, to maintain and obtain that sweet spot. That when I understand that you're different from me and I'm different from you, then we can flow in a different way. We can move together more synergistically than we could before, because we understand each other's differences. And again, I think we need to really kind of like not gloss over that. We do, to some degree, get the strengths, and we do, to some degree, get the weaknesses. But often we kind of ignore the differences that we have. And see, here's the thing. Sometimes those differences can be a stumbling block if we don't understand them.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So as you were talking, I was looking at the comments too and taking in what you were saying, but I looked at something. There's something connecting that Bruce said and something that Dion said.
Okay.
So Bruce said you also have to show up without the representative. You got to be authentic.
That's good.
Dion says take the blindfold off. I need to see where we're going.
Yes.
Here's the biggest trick that we tell ourselves. I can show up and be with whatever actor I desire to be in this moment because I'm happy with that actor. I'm not happy with the authentic character, the real you.
The real you.
But the thing that we don't tell ourselves is it is impossible to know where you are going while in character.
Okay.
You can't build anything or really give somebody a concrete plan if that plan is based off of a fictional character, not the real person. So I'm saying that to say a lot of times we have to embrace the fact, and this is men and women, but I'm saying men. I'm not saying women don't show up as not who they are, right?
Okay.
But as the man who's supposed to be the lead, right?
Yeah.
It is imperative for us to show up as we are.
Yes.
And however that looks. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to keep it real with everybody here tonight. Sometimes our circumstances don't look the best on paper.
True.
They just don't. And sometimes how you show up and you think about it. Well, I think I'm going to show up as Charles. Maybe Darnell today. But anyway, the point I'm saying is we show up, but then we question how we show up. And then we shift to how we desire to show up rather than showing up how we are. And a lot of times, that's the quickest way for a man to find himself in a puddle of confusion when you don't show up as you are. I'm only saying this because Dunnett wrote the book.
Wow.
I've been the best James Bond on the planet.
Wow.
Been there, pulling up. Yes, let's go to France. Whatever the point, making
Right,
up all the stuff,
right,
knowing good and well,
knowing good well
probably
you
couldn't
broke,
go to France.
man.
Yeah, it's foolishness. But the point I'm saying is, sometimes we can lie to ourselves so long that it seems real.
Yeah.
Because you move so well as that fictional character.
Right.
So that's what actors do. That's what they become. They siphon energies and they become what they desire, right?
Yeah.
And they act out the thing. So, but the thing is, we have to embrace that who we are internally is amazing.
Yeah.
And if nobody else likes that person, so be it. So we just have to be okay with who we are,
right,
and let that light shine, as opposed to letting that fake light shine. And it really doesn't take you or nobody connected to you nowhere, right?
Right.
So you gotta embrace you and say, look, I'm not perfect. So we might as well get all this out the way right now. Blah, blah, blah. Now, man, I get it. Sometimes when somebody's out, and let's just say people are out and you meet somebody and somebody's like, so tell me about yourself. You're probably not going to go into every detail about yourself.
No, you shouldn't.
In that moment.
Right.
You should talk about the key things in time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everything. You gotta give good consumption, but in time. But my point is, it shouldn't be totally withheld, right?
Right.
I've been guilty of that, right? You've been withheld. Sometimes you just don't want to. Sometimes you just aren't ready for a different line of questioning, because it comes some truths come with a different level of questioning.
True.
And sometimes when you are controlling your own narrative, you spinning your own story, like the reporters. You telling the story that you want to tell, not the story as it is, right? So, that's the best story, and we have to show up how we are as who we are and be okay with it. I think a lot of times, and this isn't to the women, y'all. I was going to tell y'all, this isn't to y'all, but a lot of times there have been so many narratives built out in the world that men are trying to show up just to be in line with them, because the bar is high, right? The bar is high, and so a lot of men they show up to say different things, but they know who they are and who they aren't. But they're fearful because they feel like, well, if I show up and show her that I got shot 3 times right here, she might think I'm a hooligan and not talk to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's your truth. Once upon a time, you didn't make good decisions.
Yeah.
And as a result, I got shot in the street, right? That's my truth. So the point is, if that's the case, you got to be honest and show that, as opposed to, keeping it quiet. And then at a later date, I saw you today with your shirt off, but it looked like you had like 30 stitches. I mean, why you didn't, instead of us being honest,
right?
So you all in my business now. So you got to look at what you know. What you leave, you know what I mean. So the point is, we got to not be afraid to embrace our scars. I think scars eventually become a thing of beauty when they are embraced between one another. So we just have to be honest, lead with our truth, because if you lead with truth, you can follow through with truth.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's difficult to be in a relationship with somebody, let alone trying to keep the timing of the relationship on point when you are not even being the authentic you that you are.
Yourself.
And it's just kind of to jump on the other side of that fence. Yeah, I don't want to be me because I'm afraid you won't accept me as I am. But you'll accept this representative. You know what I'm saying? That's why we promised the trip to France that I really can't afford. That's going to put me in debt. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why we can't go to this 5-star Michelin restaurant, because if I do, I'm going to be in the hole.
Be short on my rent, man.
Exactly. I'm using my rent to pay for this date. But I think everybody falls prey to that, right? We fall prey to what we want to believe, what we want people to believe that we are. And in fact, we're actually not. That's not who we are. You know what I'm saying? Just a regular old Joe with a regular 9 to 5. I'm not doing nothing special. I'm not a CIA. I don't work for any type of agency. I'm just here putting up records, Charles. I'm just here, you know, working in the docking in the bar. I'm just doing the thing that I know to do. But see, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, Bruce, that you won't accept me because society has said that if that the
title isn't lofty enough,
right? You don't, you're not pulling it in. You know what I'm saying? What do you have going for yourself? And a lot of us kind of like, you know, we put on the front, and then when they look beyond the curtain, they realize that it's just a guy who's pulling strings.
Wow,
he ain't got no real power.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's sitting there doing the best that he can to keep up the facade. You know what I'm saying? Hoping that nobody peeks behind the curtain to see what's really happening. You know what I'm saying? It's important that we be who we are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not expecting you to be anybody else but you.
Yeah.
When you come to the table, bring you.
Yeah. And I think we have to change that narrative around how we engage when people are out, you know, doing their respective meetings of people or whatever you're doing. I think if we start to promote that honesty and honesty without judgment.
Yes.
Like if you want people's honesty, you can't be in a posture of judgment. And I think that's where we go wrong. Because think about it. What you just said a second ago about, you know, like, okay, this is just what I do. This is my role. Think about it. Most of the times when people are out on dates or trying to push up on somebody, as they say, the first thing people tend to ask, specifically women, what do you do? And that's really not a nice question. It's a question to say, where do you fall resource and financially wise?
Okay.
And so it's really, let's get to the point here. And so men have a choice. Like, come on, Bruce. Men have a choice to be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm Melvin, and I'm on Route 66. I work for the local post office down there in Somerville. I've been doing it for a while. I love it. Sorry, boo. Sorry, boo. That is not enough, boo, boo. Sorry, you better go on, brokey, whatever. So the point is, so we've been taught to kind of feel like that. But so when men are asked that question, especially depending on where you meet the guy, if you meet him at a day party, at a club, or he's somewhere out, you're going to get a lofty story. So what do you do, Bruce? Well, I mean, you do know, every Chris Brown, who you think wrote a couple of his songs?
Not really. That's what we doing?
Then all of a sudden, you know, and you know, I used to back in the day, Jamie Foxx used to sleep on my couch. I used to help him with his acting.
Oh my God.
Now I just do a lot of portfolio management for them and everything. So we know how to loft it up, right? We know how to loft it all the way up to make it feel like we are way more than what we are. And then when you go to and then when the women have a way of putting the press to you to find out what's really happening. Let's get to your house. Let's kind of find out what you're spending or whatever. And then 9 out of 10, so why haven't you taken me to your house? I mean, me and Adam, we kind of live together. So you live with your
okay.
I knew it, brokey. But anyway, so the point
I
is,
knew it, brokey.
But a lot of men, you will be surprised how disheveled a lot of men are. A lot of men do not have it as we present it.
True that.
Just being honest. That's because we refuse to embrace the need of a woman. Women can clean men up. That's just the bottom line, right? Wow. I have seen women take dudes that I wrote off and turn them all the way around and make them respectable. And that's not to say we can't evolve on our own, but women that's the whole point of embracing who a woman is. If she is a man's true rib, she is a part of his support mechanism. She helps him stand. She helps him walk. Try breaking your rib and see if you can move around. It's going to be painful.
Oh, yeah.
So if you embrace your rib, you move better. But we fight it because the way we see it coming from the woman. Stop trying to control. I haven't got time for this. So we looked at it wrong. But if we look at it synergetically, as you say, your words, I think we would benefit more, and vice versa. I think if women listen to men more, because we have a way of seeing things logically. Y'all have a thing. Y'all women have a way of just seeing things for what it is. Women can see right behind all the bull. Like I can have a friend around Adam, and the women will be like, just want you to know he is really not your friend. What do you mean? I've known him for 10 years. He just sat here and looked at my breath for 20 minutes. Like, so women will tell you, women will see right through what it is and tell you. So there is a benefit in us listening to each other.
True that.
And I think we got to stop this whole control narrative. She thinks he's controlling, and because there are a lot of women that a man could meet, and the first conversation will come up will be about a former person and how that former person lorded and controlled them. And vice versa. You got men that'll be like, she all of my, I don't got time for that. So we got to kill that narrative. And listen, if you are with people that are truly controlling, don't fool with it. Like if somebody's controlling, the next step from control is upside your head. It don't get better. When the control starts, it escalates. Women or female or male. When it starts one way, it's going to, when the arguing happens, when you fall out of the pocket, you will see the fighting.
Wow.
Because the pocket is only sweet when it's sweet. But when it's sour, nobody's dancing no more. We on each other's feet. We on each other's nerves, and we fighting. So you gotta fight to keep the pocket. That's the thing we didn't say. The pocket is the pocket, but the pocket don't stay on its own without y'all.
You got to maintain it. Yeah.
You got to keep the beat together, or the pocket's going to dissipate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Let me just tag that with this last thing right here. Let me just take, because it kind of like plays into the whole being authentically you, because without authenticity, you cannot obtain or maintain the pocket. Okay. You need to be genuine. You need to be authentic with who you are in the relationship. So my question is, when it comes to the whole maintaining the sweet spot is, are we just lovers or are we also friends? Because I think often what happens is, because we're just lovers, we think that's the sweet spot. No, that's not really the sweet spot. The sweet spot is when we can have a conversation with each other and still get along with one another. Because I think we all kind of like, we put it completely on the sexual side, but the emotional and the relationship side, we have completely ignored and abandoned. And that's not a good thing, because I just don't want a lover. I want that, but I also want a friend too.
Wow.
That's balance, right?
Yeah.
That's balance. I was going to say something, but I can't say it. That's balance. That's balance, man. You want a lover, but you want a friend. Yes, that's what you should want. That's what you should have. But in order to have that, Charles, I got to be genuine. I got to be authentic. It can't just be my ambassador that deals with you. It just can't be my representative that deals with you. It has to be me.
Yeah.
It has to be me.
Now make no mistake about it. As we look at the go-go bands, and we see the drummers, they're doing their thing. They're keeping pocket, but they are grooving. So tonight, I'm not advocating.
Here we go.
I'm not advocating premarital grooving.
No, we're not. We're not.
What I will say on tonight, some parts of the spot is only really sweet because of the groove. But anyway, so the point I am saying,
this dude about to get in trouble.
Getting along is very important. It's very important. But let's just be honest. The groove added to the getting along makes the sweet spot.
Yes.
When you just have one element of groove without all of the bands playing together, you just get one sound, right? But when we come together, you play what you play, I play what I play, it's a beautiful groove. So I'm saying that to say, in the love space and in the right context, I have to say that the love space is amazing in the right context, right? When everything is on point, everything's aligning, because it's hard to love people. You have people will probably say you lying because people like makeup sex and toxic sex and all that. But to be honest, it's really hard to be with somebody and really be intimate over deceit. or over a lie or over dysfunction or over you just told me earlier how you really felt and you hate me. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to kind of keep a groove when there's not a true loving synergy underneath it.
Yeah.
And we that's how toxic has been born. We ignore what's really happening and press forward. And we end up making these crazy realities based off of us ignoring the truth. And the truth is this is not love, but we call it. And you having sex with me because we fought outside and everybody saw us and then we go in the house and we enjoy it. That's not necessarily a good love life. It's dysfunctional love.
Yeah.
But we call it what we call it because we have learned to embrace the dysfunction and the abuse. But it's not healthy. You know what I mean? So
no, absolutely right. So my conclusion, my conclusion is, because we need to bring this to a close, is the sweet spot is the sweet spot is when it's just regular life. It's just regular life. Not that we had to go out, because we can go out. You know what I'm saying? But maybe it's just I bought her flowers for no reason at all, and there was no motive behind it other than me telling you that I love you. So my question is to you, those who are watching and listening: what does the sweet spot look like to you? I think we need to kind of like take a moment and kind of think about that for a minute. What does the sweet spot look like to you? It's not going to be the same for everybody. It's going to be different. It's going to be different answers for different people. So you have to figure out for yourself, what is the sweet spot to you? The sweet spot to me is just waking up in the morning and I'm still in love with her. You know what I'm saying? The sweet spot is, oh, I know she's going to be in the house when I get home today. Can't wait to see her. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The sweet spot is we can sit in the car and go somewhere and don't neither one of us have to say anything. We can just listen to music on the radio.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Kay Williams made a good point.
Yeah.
She said, I agree, but toxicity sometimes develops from baggage people have not resolved, which make them do the same thing over and over.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we become comfortable. Like you said, you and me can walk in somebody's house tomorrow and be like, did you smell what I smell? Ugh. But if a couple live there 24/7, 365, they come in the house and they look at you like you crazy. What you mean our house stink? And we saying it stink. To them, no, it don't.
No, it don't.
We live here. Right. And so that's what that is. When we and many of people are in the world in unresolved situations, right? It feels like you don't want to rock the boat. It feels comfortable where it stinks, but it's not right. It needs to be disinfected.
It needs to be dealt with.
Right?
Yeah.
So
dealt with.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So on that note, we appreciate you guys for tuning in yet another week to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where today we talked about the pocket, the sweet spot that keeps love's rhythm. So remember, if we want to have a chance at good, harmonious relationships, we need to find our rhythm and make sure that we are holding one another accountable for their own respective beats.
Yeah.
You play your beat. You think about it. Pharrell with the Neptunes, when he blew up, he didn't blow up by himself. He had the other guy. They called them the Neptunes, but the other guy and him, they collaborated on the beats and they made a conglomerate. So I'm saying that to say it takes two. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. All right. All right.
To make things go right.
All right, y'all. Well, on that note, y'all have a great weekend and be listen to him. All right.
Mm,
All right.
mm, mm.
We're gonna keep it clean right now. You got any unplugged stuff? Gonna keep it clean.
You know, I'm gonna let you go and do your little. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do your little ratchet jump. Go ahead, bro. I know you want to be ratchet. Go ahead. I know you want. It's Friday night. You say it's Friday night. Everything is all right. I know you want to be ratchet real quick. So go ahead. Let
You know,
yourself out.
sometime on tonight, it's important to let's just say to the married couples. Let's just say that. Don't ever get caught out. Like, don't get caught stopping the groove. The groove always has to continue. Yeah, you just got to keep the groove. I think a lot of times, Adam, on tonight, we think we can survive without the groove. It does not. Nobody wants to eat cold food. We like hot food, unless you just want a cold sandwich. But most people like their food hot. So I'm saying that to say, when we lose the love synergy, we can easily lose the groove altogether. When your body starts to forget how you feel, how your touch is, it's not a good thing. So we have to always make sure we're keeping the synergy and the groove.
So I'm just kind of wondering.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm just kind of wondering.
I didn't do
watch this. Watch me blow this up. For somebody who not married, how you know?
Well, you know, I got dreams at night that the Lord. What to say?
We about to pull you to the altar right now. Come on up for prayer. Come on up for prayer. We about to pull you to the altar right. Somebody got the oil. Somebody got the oil real quick. We about to lay hands.
Oh God! All right, y'all. We'll holler. Listen to him. We'll holler at y'all.
Oh, we about to pray. Yeah, we about to pray.
Let me hear. Look.
We about to lay
all right, y'all. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Don't listen to him. All right, y'all.